every woman at some point in her life has faced the issue of irregular menstrual cycle. And then we are asked to take pills and different kinds of medications to try and regularize it. Stressful and frustrating, isn't it? But did you know that some foods can help you regulate your period month by month? I know you're interested now, ladies. So to ease your mind, we have with us Jen Thomas, personal trainer, pre and postnatal exercise expert and nutrition coach. She'll also talk about exercises that boost fertility in women. Now, low fertility affects the couples and which in turn affects the mind, and right foods not only help your body but also the mind. So let's turn to our expert and get to know more about this. Hey Jen, so good to have you.
I'm very pleased to be here with you.
So let's not waste time and get to the question. Now tell me, how common is it to have irregular periods, in a menstrual cycle?
It's actually very common, and it's actually not only common as a whole, it's common in a woman's life from month to month as well. And so when we're talking about irregular cycles, it could be anything from 21 days to about 35, 38 days. And like I said, there's a couple of different things that can impact that for each woman, each month, and women on a whole. So it's not at all uncommon.
Okay, so what are the things that affect the cycle?
There's a good many things, and starting with stress and sleep, overtraining, poor nutrition, and there's also some underlying medical and hormone-related things as well that might impact it, such as hypo or hyperthyroid, endometriosis, and things like that, which can also impact the regularity of your period as well.
So tell me, what can be done to sort of regularize the periods?
Well, first of all, I think if a woman is having an irregular cycle, maybe the first step for her to take is go to her doctor and see and rule out any underlying hormonal aspects to it. If she's looking to get pregnant, that's a great next step for her to take. Make sure it's not something along the lines of PCOS, which can do that. But in terms of lifestyle, there's a lot she can do. And like I had mentioned before about stress and sleep and exercise and nutrition, it's really good to have a thoughtful, mindful plan for that. Over-exercise can cause us to lose our periods, because when we over-exercise, we tend to overburn our calories, and if we're under-eating, we're creating a large energy deficit, which can then alter your period cycle.
Right.
So having a nice balance in nutrition and a nice balance with your workout routine and your rest and recovery will really take you a long way. In terms of our overall stress, we're in stressful times.
Yes, I mean, the world is a stressful place right now.
Absolutely. It's impacting our sleep, it's impacting our cortisol levels, and these in turn play on your mind when you're sleeping, but they also play on your body throughout the day. High stress levels can really impact your menstrual cycle as well. So that's one of the first things I work with clients is, what is your stress like? What is your daily load? What are you feeling nervous about? All those things play into it.
But this brings me to a question, Jen. Everyone's running or racing towards some goal, right? You could be stressed. It's very easy to say don't take stress, but then how does one strike that balance between your health and then something that you're really chasing?
Absolutely.
Because whether as actors it's overtraining, you need to look a certain way, it's all about how you present yourself, or even outside, today the world is about presenting yourself, and there is competition everywhere, and that takes a toll on your body. So is it the right kind of foods? I mean, what would you say? How does one strike that balance with exercise? What are the right kind of foods that would probably help you sort of bring down your cortisol levels?
So if you're looking at a very stressful life, and most of us do, and I'm sure actors, like you just said, extremely, the thing is prioritizing what's going to keep that balance. And when I work with clients, I talk to them about what can you control versus what you can't control. There are things you cannot control. You cannot control what your job presses you for and your deadlines and stuff. But what can you control along that spectrum? And we'll work with what you can control. So it might be getting that extra hour of sleep. If you have an early morning shoot, can you butt up a little bit more sleep in the evening beforehand? How can we make that a little less stressful for you? So if we're talking about stress, there's so many different ways that we can look at your lifestyle and say, okay, can we take a 5-minute meditation break? Can we put a yoga mat out so you can do 1 or 2 asanas just to kind of calm yourself down throughout the day? So not just about sleep, but about calming the mind as well. So that's a lot of what you can do in your crazy schedule. You only need 2 or 3 minutes at a time to recenter and relax. And if you're talking about nutrition, it's making sure that you have whole whole unprocessed foods that really
Yes.
boost your immunity and your health as well. So you feel energetic and at your peak no matter what stress is thrown at you.
I was just going to come to
Yeah.
that. You know, how does packaged food affect? I know packaged food is terrible, and you know, when I see people eating it, I'm like, don't do this to yourself. You know,
Yeah.
this is what you're going to put in your body is what it's going to
Yeah.
look like. But
Yeah.
you know, please highlight. I mean, how
So-
bad is packaged food?
I try to tell my clients that there's no good and bad foods. It's your intention and your mindfulness about that. So if you want to have a chocolate bar every once in a while, that is okay as long as it is once in a while. You know, you're understanding that relationship between what you should be fueling your body and what is an indulgent thing is a
Right.
big thing. When it comes to processed food cravings, so many, the manufacturing companies really have us by the loop. They know what makes our taste buds sing. They know what makes
yeah.
us want more. They know
And they
that
play with our emotions, right?
absolutely,
I mean,
you deserve a break. Have
Yeah.
a Kit Kat. And you're like, I do deserve a break.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
have a Kit Kat. So they do play with the marketing slogans. A lot of processed food comes as healthy processed food, which you think is good for you. They'll say it's gluten free, it's vegan, it's this. But
yeah,
then
but
you
you
look
gotta
at the
read the ingredients.
you look at the ingredients and you're like, the fat content, there's literally 2 grams less fat in the healthy version versus the other. So by the marketing standpoint, they have us hooped. But that's where we need to work and say, okay, is this the healthiest option to fuel your body? The answer is likely no. If you're using it as your primary fuel source, no. You need to be fueling yourselves with like your whole grains, you know, things like quinoa, even rice, you know, your amaranth, buckwheat, things like that. Your lean proteins, whether or not you are vegetarian or non, there's good proteins within that. Your essential fats, which, you know, are like your avocados and cheeses and things. And then you're going to go for the variety of rainbow vegetables. You want as much micronutrient from those vegetables and fruit in your body as possible. It'll help with the regularity of your periods, but also your energy levels so that you can then deal with the stress that you have in your day.
Right.
Processed foods doesn't give you that kind of energy. It doesn't give you that boost. It doesn't give you that, you know, I can take on the day feeling. It makes you feel sluggish and it kind of gives you the afternoon sleepies.
Yes.
And you just don't perform
So
at your
on the
peak.
whole, you know, wholesome food is what's going to help you regularize. So if you had to pick 3 food items that specifically help in regularization, what would they be?
I would choose 3 items that help with the period but also help with fertility as well. So I would say a good probiotic goes a long way. Our gut health is, they're just starting to really explore this in science, but our gut health is really important for this whole process. If you eat a lot of things like curds and kimchis and sauerkrauts, that's excellent. If you don't get a lot of that, a good daily probiotic is fantastic. I would say that is the number 1. And number 2, I would say would be vitamin D3. We are all very deficient in it. Even if we're in sunny India, we tend to have very low levels. Vitamin D3 coupled with calcium, because it absorbs with calcium, especially for women, calcium is a big thing. These are 3 items that I say have to be in your diet. The vitamin D3 you can take as a capsule or a supplement. The calcium, I would say, let's try to get it in through our dairies and our deep leafy green vegetables as well.
What do vegan people do about it?
Oh, well, they can, I hate to say they can take a supplement, but they can take a supplement for that. But deep leafy green vegetables also have a nice source of calcium in there as well. And if I was to include a 4th, iron is always a fantastic source, especially when we're talking about periods and the fact that what it's consisting of. Iron is a fantastic source in order to help with your flow and the regularity as well.
Great. Wow, that's a lot of information. So tell me now, there are a lot of myths, you know, around missing your periods or irregularities, and you don't want to Google it. The moment people Google it, it's an alarm. So what are the myths around?
You know, the common myths I hear about, I hear a lot of myths about periods, but a lot of myths about the irregularity would be, I can't get pregnant. Some people say, like, your periods are very irregular, you're going to find it difficult to get pregnant. But actually, that's not the truth. As long as you are ovulating within that period cycle, you are able to get pregnant within that cycle.
So even if you don't have your periods and you're ovulating, you can get pregnant?
So if you aren't having your periods, at all, then that is something that you need to talk with your doctor because it might signal some infertility issues.
Right.
But if you are, if your periods are delayed or they're irregular, they come this day, that day, you know, they're short, they're long. As long as you're ovulating within that cycle, you can still get pregnant.
Okay.
So that is one myth I'd like to bust, and that is the biggest one, to be honest.
Yes.
I was reading the other day a myth actually that says that if you wash your hair during your cycle will be less, and you will be less fertile. I know.
Wow, I'm hearing this for the first time.
Thank goodness I have a child now, because you know I was washing my hair all over the place. It's actually not true. You know, it doesn't matter how much but I thought that one was great.
Oh wow! Oh, that's news to me. But great. I think that's very, very informative, Jen. And so what I get from you is that you don't necessarily need pills in order to regularize your periods, you know, which is, I think, the biggest concern today, that everyone is resorted to these pills and you know, pumping up hormones, which is completely artificial.
Yeah.
So a right lifestyle, a balanced lifestyle, and being aware of what you eat, limited exercise but regular exercise.
Yeah.
I guess these are the things that would help.
Absolutely. Now, if someone does have a hormone issue, that is something that we're self-compassionate about, and they should go to a doctor. But most people will find that they'll see a huge difference in making sure that they work out 3 to 4 times a week at minimum. Their high-intensity interval training is a moderate amount, maybe 2 times a week, because that can really push us into the stress recovery zone. So having a thoughtful exercise plan, it's also having a nutrition plan that boosts that. So eating, you know, within 90 minutes before your exercise, 90 minutes afterwards, having good whole grains, lean proteins, no processed foods, or limited processed foods will really, really help. And also what I mentioned about those lifestyle things about stress and sleep, those are going to really take a woman.
What's a good sleep?
What's
you know,
a good sleep?
Does it vary from person to person, or is it 6 to 8 hours? What's a good sleep?
You hear all sorts of people saying lots of things. 7 to 9 hours is the general thing. The older you get, generally the less sleep you're able to get. But I would say if someone really struggles with sleep, to start with 7 hours and just try to get in their 7 hours, and then try to build 15 minutes or 30 minutes on top of that as they can. It is the ideal. I mean, you look at new mothers who are really struggling with children, asking them to sleep 7 hours is impossible. So let's start with what you can and add 30 minutes each week and see if you can build. Most people operate the best under 7 to 9 hours of sleep. They are the most focused, they are the most rational, their moods are stabilized.
I think I'm undersleeping
Really?
every day then. I operate the best in 6 hours, 6 to 7 hours.
But it's individual. If you find that you have your sweet spot, you know your sweet spot, and general guidelines are just that, they're general.
Yeah.
So if you find that is your key to success, you could stay with that. If you find yourself slipping throughout the day, then I would add a bit more.
All right.
Yeah.
So what would be your tips in order to increase your fertility? You know, if someone's working on increasing their fertility, what tips would you give?
For one, it would be eliminate as much of that processed food as you can. Women who suffer from, say, PCOS or have insulin resistance, those processed foods that are high in carbohydrates are not going to do you any favors. So I would say start cutting down a little bit on the processed foods and replacing it with vegetables and fruit instead. That is the biggest thing, I would say. A lot of us could really just deal with less processed foods. So that is the big one. And the next one is to take a look at your exercise program. If it's peaking and you're not resting, maybe a good sign for you to see, do I feel aches and pains in my joints? Maybe I'm not recovering. Do I feel muscle soreness a little bit too long? These are indicators that you're exercising perhaps a little bit too much and not recovering. So those would be the biggest tips on how to keep that cycle as regular as possible. It's very delicate in a woman, and it can really go off with energy balance, which is why food and exercise are the two that I really do focus on.
Right. Great. I think this was great, Jen. Thank you so much, and thank you for helping us highlight on all these important issues.
Course.
I'm sure all of you really enjoyed it, and I really hope that this is helpful. And please do not resort to pills and synthetic stuff, and adapt a healthy lifestyle, please.